Hello from Spoiled Vision Movie Recaps. Today, I'll delve into a fantasy flick titled Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Warning: spoilers ahead, so proceed with caution. The film kicks off by introducing Jake Portman, a teenage grocery store employee. A call from his father prompts him to rush to his grandfather, Abby's residence. Abby, struggling with dementia, requires constant care. A coworker kindly offers Jake a ride, and upon reaching Abby's house, they discover the elderly man has gone missing. Together, they embark on a search mission. After some time, Jake stumbles upon Abby lying on the ground, both his eyes inexplicably absent. In his dying moments, Abby implores Jake to use a postcard to travel back to September 3, 1943, and meet a mysterious bird. Abruptly, Abby's voice falls silent, and he breathes his last. Overwhelmed by shock, Jake suddenly spots a monstrous creature lurking in the darkness. It vanishes when his colleague accidentally fires a shot in its direction. Despite initially dismissing Abby's last words as incoherent rambling, the sight of the enigmatic monster leaves a lasting impact on Jake's mental well-being. A month after Abby's passing, Jake begins therapy to cope with his traumatic experience. During therapy sessions, he shares the stories Abby used to recount from his childhood. These tales often revolved around a unique home for extraordinary children situated on Cairnholm, an island off the coast of Wales. The home was overseen by the strict yet caring Miss Peregrine, who possessed the ability to transform into a bird. Within its walls resided children with exceptional abilities, individuals who didn't conform to society's norms. Among them were Bronwyn and Victor, possessing superhuman strength, Hugh, harboring a colony of bees within him, and Emma, capable of levitation. Abby even had photographic evidence of these extraordinary children, fueling Jake's belief in these stories over the years, until he shared them in a middle school presentation. Regrettably, his classmates ridiculed him for embracing such fantastical ideas. In a fit of anger, Jake accused Abby of dishonesty, and from that day forward, Abby never broached the topic of the peculiar children's home. Jake's therapist believes that he struggles to distinguish between Abby's fantasies and reality, which led to his hallucination of the monster. Later, upon returning home, Jake's aunt presents him with a book discovered among Abby's possessions. Inside the book lies a postcard bearing the name of Miss Peregrine and the address of the peculiar children's home. Jake shares this discovery with his therapist during their subsequent session, who suggests that he visit the place to find closure for both himself and Abby. Without delay, Jake and his father embark on a journey to Wales. The duo eventually arrives in the town and books a room in an aging hotel. Jake heads to the children's home, only to discover its complete devastation. Upon his return, a man informs him that in 1943, a Nazi missile struck the home, resulting in its destruction and the tragic loss of everyone inside. The next day, Jake revisits the ruined home and, to his surprise, encounters a girl. Startled, he attempts to flee, but stumbles and loses consciousness. Upon awakening, he finds himself being carried by Bronwyn, the superhumanly strong girl from his grandfather's tales. Before him stands other characters from those stories, a shocking yet delightful confirmation that the tales are indeed real. Emma, the girl with the ability to levitate, explains that they were sent by Miss Peregrine to initiate Jake into their circle. They lead him into a cave, but Jake's nerves get the best of him, causing him to rush back to his hotel. There, he encounters unfamiliar faces who inquire about his identity. As it turns out, upon entering the cave, he inadvertently traveled back in time to September 3, 1943. The hotel guests mistake him for a spy and are on the verge of harm when the children he met earlier come to his rescue. They escort him to the children's home, where he finally meets Miss Peregrine. Inside, he witnesses a girl named Olive conjuring fire with her hands, showcasing her unique ability. Miss Peregrine explains that the children's home was established to provide shelter for individuals born with peculiar qualities, known as peculiars. These unique attributes arise from recessive genes and can manifest in any generation. Such homes exist globally to safeguard peculiars from ordinary people. Each children's home is overseen by a peculiar type known as the embarks. Embarks possess the power to manipulate time, freezing and repeating it, as well as transforming into birds. Consequently, Miss Peregrine, Being a Yimbrine resets time each day. The inhabitants of the children's home have been reliving September 3rd, 1943, for as long as they can recall. Abe once resided in this very home during his youth, and the children Jake encountered earlier were his grandfather's friends. Because of the time loop, they have not aged. Jake is taken aback by this revelation and queries Miss Peregrine about Abe's peculiar ability, but she evades the question. While exploring the premises, Jake encounters Enoch, a peculiar who possesses the ability to animate the deceased and inanimate objects as his puppets. During dinner, it is revealed that Abe left the children's home to join the army. Additionally, Jake learns of Emma's past romantic attachment to Abe during his time there. Subsequently, everyone gathers to enjoy a movie together. A peculiar individual named Horace possesses the unique ability to project his dreams onto a wall and even glimpse into the future. The group gathers to watch Horace's dream unfold like a movie. Following the dream, everyone heads outside to witness Miss Peregrine reset time. Jake observes in awe as she prevents the missile from striking the house and resets time to September 3rd once again. During this time, Jake discovers a letter penned to Miss Peregrine by his grandfather and decides to keep it. Emma guides Jake to the cave, aiming to help him escape the time loop. As they journey, an injured Yimbrine bird lands before them. Emma tends to the bird and returns to the house, while Jake emerges from the loop. Back at the hotel, Jake reads the pilfered letter. In the letter, Abby warns Miss Peregrine about an individual named Baron, who poses a threat to peculiars in another loop. The following day, Jake's father takes him to a beach for bird watching, where they encounter a bird expert named John. Jake's father, an avid bird enthusiast, becomes annoyed with John, leading them to return to the hotel. Waiting for his father to fall asleep, Jake re-enters the loop and queries Miss Peregrine about Baron. However, Miss Peregrine becomes upset with Jake for his intrusion and refrains from answering his question. Enoch guides him to meet another peculiar, Victor, but Jake is taken aback to find Victor's lifeless body on a bed. Enoch then revives Victor by puppeteering his body, demonstrating his unique power. During a later walk, Jake inquires Emma about Baron. In response, Emma leads him beneath the sea to explore the remains of a shrunken ship. Using her ability to manipulate air, she creates an air pocket within the submerged chamber. Inside, she hands Jake a box believed to belong to Abby, containing a map depicting various loops around the world and images of peculiar individuals, including Baron, the leader of a group of malevolent peculiars known as the Hollows. Emma explains that Abby departed the children's home to track down the Hollows, but was unsuccessful. The Hollows seek out peculiar children and eliminate them, and only Miss Peregrine knows their true motives. Emma then takes Jake to witness Miss Peregrine battling a monster reminiscent of the one Jake encountered when Abby passed away. Emma discloses that only Abby and Jake possess the ability to perceive this invisible monster. Even Miss Peregrine relies on her time manipulation abilities to combat it. It emerges that Jake, like his grandfather, is a peculiar individual, and their shared ability is the capacity to see these hidden monsters. Back at the children's home, Miss Peregrine enlightens Jake about the origins of the Hollows. They were once ordinary peculiars who grew weary of living within the time loops. Believing that harnessing the essence of Yimbrine powers would grant them immortality and freedom from the loops, they abducted a Yimbrine and conducted an ill-fated experiment. This experiment transformed the Hollows into invisible monsters. To return to their human form, the Hollows needed to consume the eyes of peculiar children. These monstrous beings began abducting peculiar kids for this gruesome purpose. While Baron and some of his associates regained their human forms, their eyes remained clouded with milky white opacity. Some Hollows continue hunting for children's eyes to sate their hunger. As Miss Peregrine completes her narrative, Miss Avocet, the Yimbrine found by Emma in the cave earlier, regains consciousness. She was the caretaker of another children's home that was utterly destroyed by the monsters, who slaughtered all her charges for their eyes. Baron is now plotting to repeat the experiment, this time using more Yimbrines with Miss Peregrine's children's home as his next target. Upon hearing this dire news, Miss Peregrine urgently instructs the children to pack their belongings, aiming to change their time loop for added safety. Emma invites Jake to accompany them to a different loop, but Jake declines and departs the island, exiting the loop. Upon reaching the beach, Jake encounters a crowd gathering around a lifeless body. Among them are his father and the ornithologist John. Jake notices that the corpse's eyes have been removed, realizing that the hollows have already infiltrated their vicinity. He rushes toward the cave to warn Miss Peregrine, and John offers to bring Jake's father and follows him inside. However, it is revealed that John is actually Baron, using his shape-shifting abilities to disguise himself. He also divulges that he posed as Jake's therapist to bring him to the island and uncover the location of the loop through him. Baron then coerces Jake to lead him to the children's home. Miss Peregrine is taken aback to see Baron at her doorstep. Left with no alternative, she proposes to accompany Baron if he spares the children. After the two depart, Miss Addisett and Jake seal all doors and windows, arming themselves as Baron now knows their location. He can dispatch his monstrous allies to hunt the children for their eyes. Suddenly, an invisible monster attacks Miss Addisett while Jake is absent, fatally injuring her. Jake arrives just in time to wound the creature. The group flees to the attic and escapes via a tree branch. With Miss Peregrine absent to restart the loop, the day shifts to September 4th, and a Nazi missile strikes the house. Fortunately, everyone survives. Outside the loop, they devise a plan to venture to the Black Loop, where Baron is conducting his experiment using Miss Peregrine and other Yimbrines. They embark on a ship journey, guided by Abby's map, ultimately arriving at a carnival. Jake and Emma enter the Black Loop, transporting them back to the year 2016, where they encounter Baron, his accomplices, and a contingent of monsters. Jake cunningly uses Emma to provoke Baron, leading him to send the monsters and two of his associates outside to eliminate the children. However, the children have prepared a counter-strategy. They hurl snow at the two men, exposing the true forms of the disguised monsters. Simultaneously, Enoch controls a horde of skeletons as his puppets, dispatching them to combat the monsters. The children advance towards Baron and his companions, engaging in a fierce battle, utilizing their unique abilities to overcome everyone except Baron. Jake releases the captive Yimbrines, including Miss Peregrine, but their injuries prevent them from providing assistance. Baron and Jake confront each other, and suddenly, Baron assumes Jake's form. Emma and Enoch enter the scene, puzzled by which of the two is the real Jake. Both claim to be the genuine Jake, prompting Emma and Enoch to aim a crossbow at them, each trying to prove their authenticity. At that moment, a monster enters the room, and Jake spots it, alerting the others. The monster mistakes Baron for Jake and attacks him, extracting his eyes and ending his life. Finally, Jake vanquishes the monster, ensuring everyone's safety. As the time loop prepares to close, Jake bids farewell to the children as they depart, returning to their ship in 1943, while he remains in 2016. Jake returns to his home in Florida, where he discovers that Abby is still alive. It appears that Baron's demise in early 2016 erased his presence in Florida in the subsequent timeline. Overjoyed, Jake recounts the entire ordeal to Abby. Abby encourages Jake to reunite with Emma, who awaits him. Taking his advice, Jake embarks on a journey across various loops worldwide in search of Emma and the others. Ultimately, he finds them aboard the ship, still traveling. Jake finally confesses his love to Emma, and the two share a kiss. The movie concludes with Miss Peregrine soaring above the ship, watching over the children. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification for more movie recaps.